All right, today we've got a story for you that sounds like something out of a weird fairy tale, but it's actually a real, powerful lesson in how good ideas can go wrong. This is the tale of the tailless rats.
And the story really kicks off with this bizarre mystery. Imagine you're a city official, and you start seeing rats everywhere, but a whole bunch of them are missing their tails. Your first guess probably wouldn't be a government program, right?
So to figure out what on earth is happening, we've got to go back to the very beginning of the crisis.
Okay, so the city is in the middle of a full-blown plague, a public health nightmare. And in the midst of all that chaos and fear, people start noticing this super strange detail. Rats scurrying around, but without their tails. And it wasn't just one or two. It was becoming a really common sight. Believe it or not, the mystery of the missing tails is tied directly to the government's plan to fight the plague. Let's take a look at the solution they cooked up. The problem itself was as simple as it was deadly. The city was just drowning in rats, and those rats were carrying the plague. This wasn't just a minor issue. This was a serious threat. Something had to be done, and fast.
So the officials settled on what seemed like a brilliant, really straightforward idea. Let's incentivize the public. They decided to offer a cash bounty for every single rat that was killed. On the surface, it's a perfect way to crowdsource pest control.
Now, the bounty was just 1 cent per rat. Doesn't sound like a fortune, I know, but when there are thousands upon thousands of rats, it adds up. It was a real economic incentive meant to get the whole city involved.
But here it is. This is the crucial detail, the one little administrative shortcut that changed everything. To make the whole process easy and efficient, officials decided you didn't need to bring in the entire dead rat. Nope, all you needed to claim your 1 cent was the tail.
And that one small detail, that tail-only policy, is what turned a public health initiative into a bizarre and pretty destructive new industry.
Think about it. Why kill a rat for a one-time payment of 1 cent? People figured out pretty quick there was a much more profitable way to do this. You catch a rat, you snip off its tail to get the bounty, and then you let it go so it can make more rats. And just like that, this crazy feedback loop was born. You catch them, you cut them, you get the cash, and you release them. The rat problem was no longer a problem to be solved. It was a renewable resource you could farm for profit. And of course, this wasn't just a few people pulling a fast one. Oh no. Once the loophole was out there, human ingenuity took over, and this whole thing escalated from a simple scam to an organized, industrial-scale business. It got way beyond just releasing the local rats. People started smuggling more rats into the city to, increase the supply. Before long, there were entire rat farms set up for the sole purpose of breeding rats just so they could harvest their tails. Wild. So what was the final result of this seemingly brilliant solution? Well, as you can probably guess, it was a complete and utter disaster. Here's the truly ironic part. If you were a government official just looking at the data, piles and piles of rat tails coming in, you'd think the program was a huge success. But out on the streets, the reality was the exact opposite. The rat population was exploding, all thanks to the very program designed to stop it.
It doesn't get much clearer than this. The goal was simple: fewer rats. The result was a catastrophe. Way more rats than they ever had before. The cure had officially become worse than the disease. Eventually, the sight of all these tailless rats running around was just too much to ignore. It was undeniable proof of the scam. Officials finally realized their plan had backfired in the most spectacular way possible, and they had no choice but to shut the whole thing down. This whole story is a classic, almost tragically funny example of what economists call a perverse incentive. It's basically when a reward system, because of some flaw in how it's designed, ends up encouraging the exact opposite of what you wanted it to do. So there you have it, the tale of the tailless rats. A story all about good intentions paving the road to, well, a city with more rats. It leaves us with a pretty important question to think about. When have you seen a smart solution accidentally create an even bigger problem? Because as this story shows us, it probably happens a lot more often than you think.